U.S. Conference of Mayors resolution calling on Congress to redirect military spending to domestic priorities. Whereas every member of the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Americans they represent support our brave men and women in uniform and their families. Whereas the drawdown of troops should be done in a measured way that does not destabilize the region and that can accelerate the transfer of responsibility to regional authorities. Whereas the severity of the ongoing economic crisis has created budget shortfalls at all levels of government and requires us to re-examine our national spending priorities. And whereas the people of the United States are collectively paying approximately $12 billion per year to wage war in Iraq and Afghanistan, whereas 6,024 members of our U.S. Armed Forces have died in these wars, and at least 120,000 civilians have been killed in Iraq and Afghanistan since the coalition attacks began. Now therefore be it resolved that the United States Conference of Mayors supports efforts to speed up the ending of those wars, and be it further resolved that the United States Conference of Mayors calls on the President and the U.S. Congress to end the wars as soon as strategically possible and bring these dollars home to meet vital human needs, promote job creation, rebuild our infrastructure, aid municipal and state governments, and develop a new economy based on renewable, sustainable energy, and reduce the federal deficit. That couldn't have been filed.
We have our troops overseas. Why? We have our war, the Iraq war, uncalled for. There was no need to go back, okay? President Bush's democracy in Iraq, we cannot be telling the whole world how they should live. Now, here in the United States, especially here,
call on Congress to redirect military spending to domestic priorities. But again, as I said, I am a resident of the town of Bablyon. We know that there has been reduced funding available for many of the basic services that our communities need. I know that many of my neighbors have had their homes go into foreclosure. They have not had enough to eat. They've had to turn to government programs, just to get by, to pay their bills. Our schools in Lindenhurst, we lost our busing. A lot of kids have to walk to school now. There are just so many basic needs that need to be taken care of. Yet our government is spending more and more and more on military spending and on wars. And of course, that's costing the lives of many of our servicemen and women, and also many Iraqis and Afghanis who are being killed and who are completely innocent, and we don't want to see our money going there anymore. So we're asking you, as our representatives, to pass this resolution, to devote more money to domestic spending, to build jobs, to rebuild our neighborhoods, and to ask that on Congress to stop funding these immoral and illegal wars. Thank you.
Veterans of peace. I'm a veteran of the Vietnam War. I believe the journalist Robert Fisk said, anyone who's seen a war can never support. To me, it's to all of us. It's a quality of life issue. It affects the warrior, but it affects all of us. And I'm one of those people that I'm on the border financially, and our taxes are a bit high. I mean, this would actually mean perhaps more federal aid. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm here to support this resolution that has been adopted by the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I know people were thinking this is a town board meeting. What is this talking about war? This is we talk about an international event, a major, war is a horrible thing for people who are victimized by it, and apparently by people who are even supporting it. I was in this room 10 years ago after 9/11. We had spoken about terrorism at the time, and we were there was a sign, our grief is not a cry for war. And many of us were concerned that going into Afghanistan would be exactly what it has turned into, a quagmire. So here we are 10 years later, and I miss my good friend Susan Blake, who was here at that time speaking out for tolerance and understanding and rationality. And she's gone now, and so is Lisa Fishbein, and so is Ron Thompson, an artist who lived here in Bablyon. All friends of us in the peace movement. such as it is. I'm happy to be in the peace movement. We do need to bring these wars to an end, and we need our representatives to be instrumental in doing this. Take a good look at this resolution from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I'll read what it says. One, whereas the people of the United States are collectively paying approximately $126 billion a year. $126 billion a year. We've lost a lot of people. One of the, Walter from the Veterans for Peace, the chapter he belongs to is named after a young man who was the first man to be killed in Iraq from the United States, Raheem Tyson Hyder. People look for the truth. Look for the information. We are now attacking Libya. This war is expanding rapidly. It is growing larger and larger. We need to get a handle on it. We need to get a handle on our government officials who seem to have plenty of money for war, whenever that comes up. But schools know, hospitals know, various social programs know they have to be cut. We're always told that there's no money for this and there's no money for that. And the war just keeps growing and growing. I'm glad to be here tonight. I hope we can come back and discuss this further. So please, thank you for considering this U.S. Conference of Mayors resolution.
What does this mean in reality? What this means in reality is over the last 10 years, $1.2 billion that could have come, $12 billion, $1.2 billion a year that could have come to Suffolk County. That's half the Suffolk budget every year. Was burned away and has put us in a dead hole. Imagine what that money could have done here. There's movement among municipalities, just like this one, to vote on this resolution to tell our government from the bottom up, which is how our government works, that we want to change the priorities, that it's time for a new direction. So we're asking this town board to put this resolution before themselves, as other municipalities have, as I mentioned, including Baltimore and LA. And this is from a well-respected national organization. It's respectful of all sides. And to vote on this, to let our members of Congress, our senators, our president know that they have support to change how we spend our money, so that we're spending our money here instead of there. I'd like to hear if members of the town board would consider putting this on the agenda.